chase success with global.media.com. Let's celebrate it with or without champagne.
Hello, welcome everyone. Who sent that? That was Paulette, not me. Okay, that wasn't me. I'm glad that wasn't me. I just saw something strange on my LinkedIn DM. I was a bit concerned. But why am I talking when Tolu's here? Tolu, you are the legend of the show, so you get to
Oh my goodness.
do your thing.
Hi, Annie. Hello, everyone. Annie likes to pull my legs, legend of the show. I don't know about that, but I'm happy to be here. Hi, Ibironke. Lovely to have you on stage with us. Thank you so much, Annie, for the intro and welcome, everyone. I don't see any comments yet, but I suspect that is because we just got started. So if you're around, if you're on StreamYard, there we go. Michelle should be given an award. Michelle always shows up the first person or the first 2-3 people. Oh, there's Kifa as well. Welcome. Thank you so much. Liana, thank you. Welcome. Good to have you here. Thank you for joining us. Thank you so much, Madam Olushola. Good to have you. Welcome. Yay. Awesome. Really glad to have you here. Hello, beautiful souls. Oh, Michelle, thank you. We appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Oh, Dr. Amaka, welcome. I'm so excited. I don't know. Today is just, I really have been wondering why I'm super excited today, but I am. I don't know. I hope somebody else feels that way, or is it just me? So, welcome, Kifa. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Francis. Thank you, Selassie. I had a lovely conversation with Selassie the other day. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Dr. Amaka, the amazing Dr. Amaka, I want to say ubiquitous Dr. Amaka because I don't know how she does it. She does so many things at the same time. Super amazing. Thank you for being here. Welcome, everyone. All right, so we are back. You know, the last time we were talking, so we've been talking about boundaries in marriage, and we started the conversation with boundaries between couples. Then we moved on to boundaries with parents and in the marriage as relating to the children, right? You have children, do you set boundaries? How do you make that work? And the conversation was so lovely that we decided, you know what, let's do a part 2 because there's a lot more going on. But let me not get ahead of myself. As usual, we go around and introduce ourselves first. So I'm going to let's start with Annie. It's usually ladies first, but we're going to change it today, just because. So Annie, please go ahead, tell us what you do, who you are, as if we don't all already know. But please.
No one knows me. Liana, welcome. Thank you for being here. Linda, welcome as well. Canada. We're glad you're here. Bemi, welcome. I'm trying to pronounce your whole name. We just know I'll look shameful as a Nigerian, but you have to forgive me. Who else do I? So Michael's here as well, says Michelle. Michael B. I can't see you. Who else? There's someone else that she mentioned. I think we've got Francis. We mentioned you, right? We mentioned everyone, I think. But if you're here, please drop us a comment. We won't know otherwise. So do say something. Tell us where you're joining from. Say something. And we'd love to work with you properly. What do I do, Tulu? I don't know. I forgot what I do. Nah. Okay. Tulu, you all know in that book, Lessons We Learn from Code.
This is true.
That is one of my life's achievements. And I guess a simple way to describe what I do is that I want to make my friends, my clients famous for the long term. No, it's good when they pay me, I do what I do, but when they stop paying me, my fame service carries on working for people. The reason I say that is because my marketing is not just, I do social media posts for people. That's not my real strength. My real strength is something that's going to last longer. So that comes down to helping you write your book, publish your book, and sell your book. Believe you me, your book will give you authority, and it also lasts longer than you're going to last in this lifetime, I promise you. So that's one of the ways I make sure I give you more than you ever pay me for. Second thing I do is help people to do events like this. So if you want to do live events, I know where to start. There's a reason people call me. Say I want to help you build a community of people who know you, like you, trust you, want to buy from you going forward. If you've got a community of people who really care about what you do, you have a much more chance of building your business in good time. It's the last thing I talk about is my bestseller, guaranteed Amazon bestseller service. Again, when you become a best-selling author, when your book achieves that award, it's a lifetime award. It never leaves you. So you can run with that for the rest of your life. You can run with that for every other book you write. That's what I do. That's what I do really. I do many other things, but I leave them to myself for now. Let's connect if you want to know more. I can help you. Let's connect for sure, and let's talk. I want to know what you do. Roman Sele, we see you as well. Thank you for being here. If you want to join the studio, my friends, the link is in the comments. The link is on the event page. If you want me to send the link to you directly, just put it in the chat here. Any link, please. Then I'll put the link in your DM on LinkedIn. Anyway, I'm not the star of the show. These are my two geniuses are here, so I'll go back to hiding. Lisa, you're here. Lisa's my best friend on LinkedIn. I've got a show on Tuesday. I have no idea what the show's about, but she talks menopause and holistic health in midlife. So do connect with her, connect with each other as well. Enough from me, Natolu. I'm going back to my hiding now.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Jenny. Okay, let's have Madam Ibironke introduce yourself, please. Tell us what you do, what you're passionate about, what's pushing you, what's driving you these days.
Don't mind Tolu. She likes to put this madam before my name. That makes me feel like a dinosaur. I'm simply Ibironke. I've been known as your parent partner. A lot of my community, members of my community on LinkedIn have started calling me your parent partner, because with me, everything you find is about making you more intentional about parenting, not leaving it to chance and not just taking a footloose and fancy-free approach to it. That's what I do. I'm a parenting advocate. I run a childcare service in my location. I have recently started a parenting community. It's called the Parents Lounge, where we share experiences, where we'll have coaching sessions, clarity sessions, to turn chaotic parenting challenges into calm. So ultimately, I help families build calm and confident spaces to raise their children. If we want to see any change in society, it has to start from that smallest unit of society, the family. So that's basically me in a nutshell. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
That's a lot you do. That's a lot you do. I'll come back to you, Ibironke, in good time. I'm thinking of doing a parenting room, and I'm so frustrated by parenting styles in Africa, in Nigeria especially. So I think we need to talk about that a lot more. That's my take. So it sounds like you got a vehicle that could definitely help. I'm sure you got something to add to the conversation as well. I'll come back to you on that one. Sorry, Tulu. I get all excited when parents excites me.
Yeah, so you see why, okay. Ibironke, it's going to be really hard for me to just call you Ibironke, and it's because of the Yoruba blood that I carry. It's just something that is.
Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad.
For the longest time, I kept thinking, what do I call him? Mr. Any, Uncle Any, Brother
No,
Any?
just call me Any. I've got no title. I'm a nobody. I'm a nobody,
no,
right?
It's not about being a nobody. You're not a nobody. How can you be a nobody, Any? It's just this thing we have, right? So there's this really strong respect thing that it's strong in Africa, but it is super strong in my tribe, which is Yoruba.
In Nigeria, in Yoruba land,
in fact,
yes.
it's so serious. I'll give you a little back. So when I was young, when I was about 3 years old, I'm told, I don't really remember, but apparently, so we had lived in the US and we had come back, and I was not, I picked up the language very quickly. So I'd speak Yoruba very fluently, except I wasn't making that distinction. In Yoruba, you have a distinction between adults
Yes.
and people above your age and people your contemporaries and younger. So you'd say, for example, to say thank you, you would say oshe to your age mates and your juniors, but you would say eshe
Yeah.
to older people. And by the way, is also the language you would use for plural. So if you're talking to multiple people, it's the same language you'd use for a senior.
Mm.
But I was not making that distinction. So everybody was oshe, young and old was oshe. And people got so offended with my parents that my mom eventually had so many altercations over this 3-year-old that was disrespecting people with her language.
Oh my
My mom said, you know what, speak English. If you speak English, they will understand you. And that will be the end of it. And apparently that seriously affected my learning of the language at that stage. So, to let you know, it's that deep. So you can imagine,
Oh my
calling Colette,
goodness. No.
all these people like, oh God, you want to, yeah. So it's just the thing that you've been raised with. Anyway, just something to know. All right, so
Yeah.
you would
Look,
understand why.
it's a problem we will have to lose. So mine comes with doctors. If you're a doctor, they're like, leave me alone. I'm like, no, you're a doctor. I can't not call you doctor, whatever your name is. It's
Right.
the Nigerian thing in me. And they're like, I don't know.
Okay.
Dr. Amaka was probably the worst. She said, Amy, I'm not a doctor. I'm like, Dr. Amaka,
Nice.
you're doing a PhD. Of course you're a doctor. I'm not a doctor, any. But I just can't not say Dr. Amaka. Even when I write it, I have to write Dr. Amaka.
Right.
So I know exactly where you're coming from. It's a Nigerian thing, right?
It's a Nigerian thing. Yes, that's us.
So the reason why I got so interested in Ma'am Ibironke, Ibironke's
Just do it naturally, Tilly. Just
I could just make it easier. I could just make it easier for you, Tolu. You just call me IB.
no,
I could just make it easier. You just call me IB.
it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. Now that we have to have respect for you, we're not gonna stop.
It might work. Okay. But the reason I got so interested in her and what she does is because I'm so passionate about families and about marriages. I just realized that it's so obvious to me that when you have societal problems, when you have miscreants, when you have people misbehaving out there, they're coming from families. Something went wrong down the line. And many times, if you trace it down, it comes from where they were raised, how they were raised. Something was not done right that should have been done right, or something was done but was not, was abandoned. Something usually goes wrong in that space. And most times you can do everything you're supposed to do and things can still go wrong. So I'm not saying trying to put all the blame on parents or on families, but I do recognize that a lot of societal problems will be reduced if we handle the family right. And so this is something I'm very passionate about. I'm a marriage coach, family life coach. I'm also, my background is in pharmacy, but to be honest, more than the health of your body is the health of your mind, the health of your family. It's a big thing for me. And so that's why it's something I do. I work with couples who are intending to get married to help them to navigate that space and understand what marriage is really all about. Because a lot of people go into marriage without really understanding it. And then they get in, it's like, oh, nobody told me, I want out, I can't do this anymore. 2 months in. And if you had the proper information, the proper preparation, you may not have married that person because you know better, or you may have, but now you know what you're getting into and what to expect. And I think that that's something very important. Also, with couples who are seeking to get better, because there's always a place called better, right? If you're doing well, you can get better. If you're not doing well, you can improve, you can get better and get help. And so That's something I'm very passionate about. I've been doing this alongside my husband for over a decade, and I'm certified for this, and it's something I really am passionate about. It's one of the things I do. Also, since we talked about books, you may have heard, and if you haven't, this
Yeah.
book, which
Rachel.
is kind of in the background there too. Yeah, Raging Waters is a novel that my husband and I wrote. It's themed around infidelity in marriage, but also parenting, role modeling, just a lot of amazing things in this little book. It's not a big book, but it has big stuff, and it's useful as a resource for couples who want to discuss marriage issues, for marriage counselors and marriage coaches who want to help their counselees, their clients, to get down to the basics. Because when you're talking about these things, it's much easier when you have a story that you can relate to. So this is some of the things I do. Of course, anybody can read it. It's a fantastic read, and it's a very good discussion starter as well. I've written several children's books. I've kind of toned down on that, and I should really pick it up again. But I have about a dozen books out, children's books. And of course, there's Lessons We Learned from COVID-19. Both this book, Raging Waters, and Lessons We Learned from COVID-19, the one you see in Annie's background, are bestsellers, international bestsellers on Amazon, thanks to the amazing efforts of Annie. So please connect with Annie if you haven't already. He is fantastic in that department of getting your book to bestseller, and also, like he says, makes people famous. So that's Annie. Also connect with Ibironke, IB, who is a fantastic parenting coach. All right, so here we go. Today we're continuing with the conversation. The last time when we were talking, we talked about boundaries in our marriages when it comes to relating with our children. And we started talking about different aspects of setting boundaries, and the fact that I remember one of the things we talked about was just the way children can manipulate their parents if they are not sure that you're on the same page. We talked about good cop and bad cop, where couples, usually somebody has to be the bad guy. But it's important that behind the scenes, you are in sync. Because if you're not in sync, if you're not in agreement, and one of you is the good guy and one of you is the bad guy, children will play you against each other, get what they want, and both of you will find yourselves pitched against each other and not achieving the goals that you have set for your family and for your children. Okay, so those were some of the things that we talked about. And today I want us to continue the conversation with, let me ask this question. So when it comes to children, right? Okay, one of the things that happened when I got married, in fact, I used to worry about it, maybe because I was the firstborn child. I used to worry about the idea of what a child would do to our family dynamic. Children didn't come quickly for me. Okay, so after a year of marriage, I really wanted to have my first child. First child didn't come until 3.5 years in. But by that time, my husband and I were so close. We had developed a rhythm. We kind of understood how we related. And then when I found I was pregnant, I was excited, but then I was also scared because I now thought, how does this work? What happens to our family? Like, I feel like everything since I got pregnant has been about this child. What do we get for the child? We need to go and do this for the child. When the child now comes, if it's all about the child, will our marriage be okay? Would you feel abandoned? Will I feel abandoned? How do I juggle all of this? And it was a concern for me. I don't know if other people think like that, but I thought like that. I don't know. If you thought like that,
yes, I did. I did think that way too, Tolu. I did think that way because, well, I waited for almost 7 years before I could have my first child. Almost 7 years, so it was an experience. In that time, of course, it was just my husband and I, and we had gotten very close. And I remember I don't know if he remembers. I remember someone in my office then mentioned to me that maybe one of the reasons why you guys are having it difficult bringing a child into this marriage is because you're too close. There's no
Oh
space
dear.
for the child. And then, of course, I mentioned this to my husband, that someone said this, and my husband said, no, the child is going to come and join in this community and make it even
Right.
better. I don't see how. So you know how that's how our minds work when you're in that situation. So I understand what you mean when you say that you had built a sort of family dynamics at home, and you're wondering, when a child comes into the mix, what's going to be different? Are we still going to
Oh, you're
are we
muted.
still going to be this close? Sorry, that are we still going to be this close? Or is it just going to be all about the child and then we lose ourselves? It's something that goes through one's mind if you are in that situation. So
Yeah.
I
So the
quite
question now
understand.
is, how do you prioritize your spouse in a way that doesn't make your children feel left out or feel like outsiders?
And you know,
Or should
I always say I still had, yeah, I had this conversation with a young lady yesterday. I don't know if she's on this call. And I said, life is in phases. That is why the whole family must come from a place of understanding. There's going to be a time when, for both father and mother, it's just going to be about the children. And you have to understand that phase and walk in it. There's going to be a time when it's just going to be about one person or the other. And then you're even going to get to a phase where it's going to be about the grandchildren at some point in time. I'm taking off from home to go and help them sit with a grandchild somewhere. There's that phase. So there has to be an understanding in the home that we walk with each phase. There was a time in my home when it was just about school runs, and we were like a military barracks, just going through the motions, getting things done for the children. And then suddenly I find myself now, it's just my husband and I again at home.
right.
So in that phase, when the children take priority, try as much as possible to do things as a family so that nobody is left out. Try to make most of your activities revolve around what every member of the family can enjoy or participate in, so that no one is feeling left out or no one is, sidelined in this case.
Beautiful. Well said. I see Bemisola says she's currently at this phase, right? She's at that phase where she's having to make these decisions. So we all go through those phases. And so just to encourage you, Bemisola,
Yes.
we have gone through it, and don't worry, you would survive. You'll be fine. But it's good to understand. I
Yes.
love what IB said. IB, it's taking IB. I love what she said about the fact that it will happen. There will be times when one person would need more attention. The focus would be on one person more than the other.
Yeah.
Thinking about that, I
Yeah.
was thinking about the phase as you were talking. I was thinking of that phase when you have a second child. Now, when you have the first child, like all the focus is on this one child, right? When you have a second child, there are other things that come up, right? Like jealousy. When the first
Yes.
child was like, I don't understand who's this new person and why are they taking the limelight,
Oh,
and why
yes. Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So maybe you talk a bit about that too.
I've been through. You seem to be taking my timelines, the timelines of my parenting journey
Of
today,
course,
even
it's all,
without knowing it.
all been-
After I had my first son, I had to wait for 4 years before having the second one. So at some point, mentally, I had assumed that I won't have one child. And you know how you pour into a child simply because you feel that's it. Nobody else is coming to join this family. And then 4 years later, another one shows up, totally different from the first child. I tell people that I'm raising a United Nations in my home. I have 3 children who are totally different from each other. And then comes the second one. And I'm trying to ensure that my first child does not feel left out after having been the only one for 4 years. But I was fortunate because he actually craved, he wanted to have younger siblings. His mantra to us then was, you should be able to buy a baby sister or brother for me. Honestly, everybody in my play school has a baby sister or brother. Just buy one for me. So
Go
he
shopping
looked
for me.
forward
Go
to it.
shopping.
Exactly. So just buy me. He used to say then, just buy me a baby sister or brother. Everybody has one in my play school. So he was looking forward to it. He was prepared to step into the big brother
I need
role.
that thing
So
taken off.
rather than feel
Remember,
left
like when I put
out,
it on,
he
it
was
was so
smart.
difficult.
Sorry?
Joni, I think you're unmuted. Okay.
Okay, someone is saying.
Thank you. Yeah,
Okay,
please go ahead.
so rather than feel left out, he actually joined, he stepped into like a big brother role. He felt very responsible that there was someone to take care of in the house. But even at
Right.
that, I still had at the back of my mind the fact that I needed to involve him. I needed us to start doing things as a family with, so that I don't leave him out feeling now that there is this person, I'm getting jealous. And then I'm thinking of my husband as well, that now I have 2 young children to handle. At some
Hmm.
point, when he comes back from home, I'm probably too tired to even have a sensible conversation with him, but like I said, we have to find time to involve everybody in this. I was fortunate with my first son. I didn't get the jealousy vibe. He stepped into big brother responsible role immediately.
Okay. I love that. And I
Thank
think
you.
that probably you may not have realized it, but you probably involved him. So that big brother responsible role, the fact that he was involved, if you say the older
Yes.
child, go and pick up the diaper for me or bring, in fact, one of the things that we've learned to do is
Yes.
tell couples, for example, to tell that child, the first child, that the second child is their baby. Your baby is crying.
Mm,
What are you going to do for your baby? Go and bring something for your baby. It makes them feel like, hey,
mm,
I'm involved. I'm part of this thing. My baby is crying. My baby brother or my baby sister, my baby brother. It makes them feel like they own this and it's part of their journey. Anyway, but we're talking about the boundaries
yeah.
with the couple now. So from what I've heard you say, it's like the couple needs
Mm,
to understand that even if they have to open up the boundaries for some periods of time, they need
yeah.
to remember that it's still us. It's us opening these boundaries
Yes.
to accommodate these people who need us so desperately. And then over time, you begin to set those boundaries again as the children become more and more
Mm,
independent. Okay, let's hear
yeah.
from Coach David. Welcome. Thank you. What's your take on this? Have you had any experience? What's your take? Please go ahead and unmute if you're here. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, I'm
Okay.
here. I was listening and soaking the conversation in. I wanted us to, because I just came in. I'm not uh, the context of the conversation. I don't want to get the context wrong.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, just taking a cue from what Ibironke has said, we will at some point need boundaries. Parenting is a very powerful journey that the Almighty God has given us trust. And I think everyone ought to do it with love, care, and thank you
Mhm.
for the great work you're doing. I just came to just cheer the group on to say, well done. So,
Oh,
yeah,
thank
Michelle, how are you? You guys are doing a super job. And there's a lot, yes, there's a lot that parents have to do. And it's a lot. And the wisdom and the community that's needed to make it happen is what this meeting is about, which I think I love. Uh, I have another set of meetings, so I won't be able to stay for too long. But I'd like to add to the conversation by saying every soul, even if it's a child, is a unique soul. And there are no babies in the spirit. That baby is also a soul. Yeah, Michelle, thank you so much. So the respect is what I hear from what Ibironke said and what you said earlier to Lulokwe, which is to ensure that you carry the baby along and not think of the child along. And not, I'm permitting me use word baby. And not think that, oh, the child doesn't understand yet, or there's no need for explanations. No, the child is also a unique God-given entity that needs to be carried along, and is individual. Some children love boundaries, and you will break them by letting them be too much inside boundaries. So if all the time boundaries is the way you deal with introverted children, you probably are setting them up for some interesting future. Because when you tell them that, for example, go to your room or whatever you say, whatever, for example, if it's an introvert child you are dealing with, that child is very excited to go into the room. And that may not be too good, because so I'm saying that it's sculpting each individual child based on what you observe and the signal. I mean, at the meeting with Paulette, Annie will testify. Someone said that the children, I think it was Cyrus, who said the children would always tell us how they want to be communicated to. They would tell us what one child will be interested in, another child will not be interested in. So ideas like blanket rules, like setting boundaries, whatever those phrases mean, must be individualized and calibrated per child. And I say all of this with caution, because I said I was listening in and flowing. It was and I insisted I come into the studio because I don't want to take the conversation off the tangent of where you are. But these are my own thoughts, which is whatever we do as parents, we have to ensure that we are individualizing. For my anchor scripture is train a child the way he should go. There is the way each child should go, and it's a direction. I think it's Psalm, what was that Psalm now? It says, as children are in the hands of a mighty warrior, so are the children of the youth. So parents have the bow. The children are like arrows to aim them at a target. Each child or each arrow has its forming and its sculpting and the exact speed and trajectory and angle that you must influence to pull the arrow. So some children, when you set boundaries, you are crippling them in a certain way. Some, when you set boundaries another way, the point I'm making is design the boundary based on the child you are dealing with and based on the conditions around the child. Awesome. While there must be the care to discover, not just blank rules or blank, because not all children respond the same way. And from age, personality psychology and development, from about 6 months to 1 year to maximum 18 months, children begin to display distinct personality deviations, very distinct. I can give you examples. Some babies will be more active in the night than in the day. Some will be more active in the day than in the night. Interestingly, developmental psychologists have said that culture starts from the womb. If a baby was kicking much more in the night, when they are born, you find them very active at night. Psychologists have also said, medical experiment, the posture that the baby has in the womb and how when they move, they have a posture in the womb. They stay more in that posture. When they are born, there is a correlation physically. This is what this body of research said. You can Google it up, and it says they will maintain that posture. So the meridian they had in the womb, which is either the day or night meridian, they have it in the physical. So the point I'm making is that individuals start, and the last point I like to make, individuality starts very early, and our job is to observe so that we know the boundaries that we aid their development. I would also like to add one fact before I use the mic. Many of us are just raised by our parents, and we just pass on how we are raised. And we do not do the harder work of examining boundaries and setting new boundaries and personalizing the developmental process. This is the other thing I want to say about setting boundaries. Not everything that we were given was sufficient. We figured it out along the way, the remaining.
Yeah.
We should not repeat the error of just dumping stuff and just looking in a certain direction without paying attention to the moment in time and observing the child. A friend of mine, Yemi, with a group of friends, did an experiment where they put, what do you call them now? Children that are crawling, toddlers, before toddler, when you're crawling about 7 months, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, they placed 3 items in front of each child, but 2 prominent ones. One was a ball, the other was Lego that you move around. Repeatedly, these children showed affinity for one item. You pull them away and pull the other item, some are even crying. They did it for about 20 children, and these children kept moving in the direction of a certain item repeatedly. Like you take them to another room and they come back and they're looking for the ball. They kept defaulting back to that item, either the Lego or the ball. Now, the implications later in life was not what fascinated me. The fact that it was their repeated choice was my fascination. How come that choice? I would also share my personal experience with a few.
We may need to. Sorry to interrupt you, but I just wanted to maybe so that I'll still give you the opportunity to finish your thoughts. But I wanted it to bring it into context. Like you said, you came in later. So while I do appreciate a lot of what you said, and I think that's really fantastic. We're talking about boundaries in terms of the marriage, right? So you have a couple, and then you have the children. Do we have boundaries in relating to the children? Are there ways in which we will relate to the children that will negatively affect those children because maybe we haven't set the right boundaries? Are there ways in which, in relating to them, we are challenged because maybe, for example, they have more access to one parent than to the other, or one parent is the good parent and the other is the bad parent? Or are there things that we should not be exposing our children to because they are part of our marriage, but not part of the entire family dynamic? And when we now leave them open, those children are now overly exposed to things that they should not be dealing with at this point in their lives, those kinds of things. So we're talking about boundaries in regards to how do we just to be clear, we got back from the beginning, we said a family is kind of like a house. So if you have a 4-corner house and there are no walls demarcating the cooking area and the sleeping area and the sitting area, all those different parts, if there are no partitions and everything is just an open space, then anybody can do anything anywhere, and there's chaos and there's no coordination. And so we started with boundaries within the couple, between the husband and the wife. Are there boundaries? Are there things that are my space that are not our space? And then we now came to the children. So that's where we're looking at it from. So while we can talk about children and raising kids and all that, maybe we will do that in the parents' lounge where we will talk fully about the children and how. But here we're talking about, in terms of how the marriage children.
Okay, so let me.
Yes, I'm sure you have a lot of insight. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the insight. Thank for I said earlier that I just took a cue from what Ibironke is saying.
Yeah.
And again, I'll go back to the same point about development of the children. Whichever way, it's about sculpting the child in the direction that the child ought to go, and the setup of the family around the child. If we're so let me clarify one point. Are we talking about the husband and the wife, or the husband and wife in relation to the children. I thought it was B, not A.
So
I
it's
thought
the
it was
husband
about
and wife
raising
interacting with the
the
children.
child. Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So, for example, some children have their own communication style. Some children will respond to some signals more. The job of the parents is to observe the signals that the child would listen to. Some children are startled, for example, if husband and wife shout at each other, or there's some noise level that startles or makes them uncomfortable. Those are examples of the kind of things I'm talking about. Each child requires their own environment and requires the discovery from husband and wife. Train a child the way he ought to go. That child has its own direction. Anything that's happening between husband and wife that adversely impacts on the child because they are not flexible, they don't want to bend, is a big problem. The discernment of what is the direction the child ought to go, the force of the bow and arrow. Some children like to talk a lot. You're watching movies with them and they want to narrate the movie to you. They're developing. Some children would rather take it very quietly, and then you see an argument between the two of them arguing about, keep quiet, let's concentrate. And then the other one says, no, I'm trying to just talk to daddy or mommy about what I saw on screen. How do you arbitrate and not cause a conflict, because each of the children are developing? So that wisdom about looking at each child and giving them the context that we serve their immediate gifts is what I was referring to. Yep.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Sorry, Michelle. Sorry, just a minute. Michelle said something. A child does not ask to be here, so stop treating them like a burden. That's in the comments. Exactly. The accommodation, the wisdom to let them fly and spread their wings. Complex to do because, again, the children have their own complexities. They have their own different dispositions. Some will be intro, some will be extro, for example, and they must be brought up by the same parents in a very positive way that their future is not affected. So that's my take on it. Thank you. Apologies that I went off the rant at first. Forgive me. But
No. It's fine. I mean, we still got a lot of value from what you shared. So thank you so much. Really appreciate you, Coach David. And I love what you said. You know, I in fact, only recently, a few days ago, I was talking with my kid sister. So I'm the first and she's the last child. And I am convinced that we were not raised by the same parents. Okay, we were not raised by the same parents because
welcome to the real world.
Yeah. Yes. Because I was always baffled when I remember as she was a teenager, maybe early teens, and she would just say something that I thought was maybe borderline disrespectful, you know, because we were raised really prim and proper and had to be a certain way. And she would say something borderline disrespectful, and I'm expecting a reaction from my dad, and I look at him and he's laughing. He's laughing. How can you be laughing? We didn't get away with stuff like that, you know? So I think what happens with parenting is that parents grow, and as you're growing, you're changing. So those boundaries would change even when you're, even in relating to how you handle the children as the years go on. Yes. Because you're growing, the children are growing, everything is changing. The parents who raise one child have to develop certain skills, certain capacity to raise two or to raise three. And that changes, a lot of things change. So I get that. All right, thank you so much.
That's why we're told that there's no perfect parenting, Tolu. We're told that there are no perfect parents. There are only parents who are willing to grow and learn alongside their child. Because things will change. Children are different. As you move from one phase to another, you have to fine-tune or unlearn some things. So it's not a walk in the park, but there's no parent that is perfect. We're all on this journey.
Awesome. Yeah, let's bring another angle to this. Sorry. Were you still talking?
No, I'm done. I'd finished talking. Okay, maybe it's your network that's taking it in and out, but I'd finished talking.
Okay.
But we
All
can
right.
see you.
Thank you. Okay. So let's have Joni, I'd love for you to chime in on this, right? But I wanted to ask you a question. So when you have in a family situation, right? You have, hold on a second. Okay. If you have children raised in a small space, and I don't know if you've had that kind of experience or if you know of any such situation. When we are counseling couples, we've counseled different couples from different backgrounds, right? But when you have couples who have maybe don't have means, they don't have a lot of money, they have to stay in a really tiny space. I know that there are countries where things are so regulated that you cannot have more than a certain number of people in a certain space size and all that. But in less regulated places, right, it's possible to have a family of 4 living in a space that's only suitable for maybe 1 or 2 people and things like that. Now, how that affects children and how it affects their growth and how it affects boundaries, things that they are exposed to, things they should not be knowing, they're getting to know early, etc. Do you have any insights on that? I know that IB will talk about it some too, but let's hear what other people think about that. You have a small house, you start out as a couple, maybe you're living in a house that's okay for 2 people, and then you have a third person, a child, or you have a set of twins or something, and you now have to manage a small space. What do you think are the effects on children? Maybe let's have IB and then Joni left. Okay, no, she's here. Joni, please go ahead and then we'll have IB.
She's here. Yeah.
Joe? Uh-oh. Okay, IB, maybe you want to say?
She's here. Yeah, she's here, but she's still muted. She's here, but she's still muted.
Hi, Tulu. Can I come in?
Yes, please, Kifa.
Good
Welcome.
evening, Tulu, and most welcome guests. Good evening. Good to be on another event like this. It's very interesting so far. Couple of things. Previous point about siblings and jealousy. I've got 5 beautiful children, and my first was a boy.
Okay.
And when we went to the hospital to visit our second child and mom, my son says, "Come on, Dad, let's go home." he, let's go. He was only about 3-year-old. And I wonder, how does a child find jealousy? Because he was the center of attention all those years, 3 years. And all of a sudden, a new arrival in hand. He didn't even want to see her. He said, "Come on, let's go." And second point about the overcrowded, because I think that's what you meant. People living in small space.
Right.
In my mother, father, and my sibling, we was all in a small home, and 3 boys, 3 of us as brothers share a room, and it wasn't a big room, but we managed, because them days parents could only afford a certain size houses back in the 70s, 80s. So, but soon as we was of age, and not even being streetwise, it's a matter of being forced out, if you know what I mean. You didn't just leave because you wanted to. You was glad to leave because you was in such a small space, no independence. And then back then the family home was so serious. There was chores. Everybody had to do this or do that, wash, iron, cook, clean. So it was like a privilege. I left home when I was 18, had my own flat. And I tell you, you could hear a pin drop. It was so quiet. Back to you, Tulu. Thank you for the opportunity.
So did you like the quiet though? Was it something?
No, I soon had my brothers coming to visit and my friends, and we had space now to play our music without the restrictions. We could stay up late and watch the movies without restrictions. So yeah, but over time, we got used to the whole idea, but there was sometimes, especially if you wasn't feeling good, if you was to feel sick in the night per se, by yourself, coming from a family, you'd sort of feel really isolated and lonely. So it has its toll on you. But the freedom side was good. Had to be
Yeah.
independent sooner or later.
Right. Right. Thank
Thank,
you. Thank you for
thank you
sharing.
for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so I asked that question particularly because I realized that especially with growing kids, there are you want to have boundaries. You want to keep those children in the child zone for as long as possible. Right now, children get exposed to a lot of things that are beyond their ages because there's social media, there's all this, all this access that they have that we didn't have. When I was growing up, for example, TV would not come on until 4. Like there would be nothing. If you switched on the TV, there was nothing to watch until 4 p.m. And now
Yes.
wake up at 1 a.m. If you wake up any time of any day, anywhere, 24/7, you have access to TV and to anything. So parents now have to start restricting exposure and all of that. But what if children are exposed to stuff in the home because there's not enough boundaries or enough, regulation? Some parents are even in a space where they have adequate space, but they are not, for example, locking doors that they should lock, or children are just opening anywhere and going in and seeing anything. What do you think about that, Madam Ibironke? IB.
Okay, in addition, let me start from this. In addition to what you have just observed, Tolu, what we should try to avoid, couples won't have conflicts. There will be times of, conflicts, disagreements, and things in the home. As much as possible, we should please keep this away from the children, because it is not their business. It is not something for them to worry about. So we keep them away from this. No matter how bad the conflict situation is, please separate them from the children. And in homes, I'll give a small snippet of how I've tried to keep boundaries in my home, especially when my children were growing, in order to keep them from viewing what is not appropriate or hearing or knowing what is not appropriate for them in the home. We had a rule: you had to knock on our door and wait for us into a bedroom, wait for us to ask you to come in before you come in. That's how we raised our children. And then lo and behold came my middle son, who is very different. The older he grew, sometime we actually had to write it and paste it on our door so that he will remember that knock, wait for a response before you come in. Then on a Saturday morning, we added a note that says on Saturday mornings, do not knock on this door before 9 a.m.
Right.
And I had him before 9 a.m. And then I heard him having a conversation with his younger sister in front of our door before 9 a.m. The younger sister was saying, we shouldn't knock. He's your namesake, by the way. We shouldn't knock before 9 a.m. And then he goes, why? Let's write what we want to tell them on a paper and slip it under their door. They'll see it when we slip it under their door and decide whether they want to open the door, not before 9 o'clock. So really, there are ways we can establish these boundaries for children at home. We just have to be working in a couple home. We have to be working from the same playbook. Right. Children are not supposed to be exposed to every aspect of the marriage. You're not supposed to be exposed to every conversation in the marriage. They are children for a reason. When they grow up enough and you want to share in order to teach them, then that is a different thing. But there are so many things that go on between a husband and a wife that the children should not be privy to. There should be clear boundaries about that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that. Linda, hi, Linda. Maya, welcome. I hope I said that right. Maya,
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. This is a
welcome.
wonderful topic. I applaud you. We do need to know more about this. Thank you so much, ladies. I just wanted to share that I do have 3 children. They are young adults now. I had my children later in life, and because of the numbers, in women, I had to hurry up and have them. And so they are very close in age. They are 2 years apart. And so when I had my first one, I, because of my personality, I was overcautious, very careful. I was very attentive, very quick to meet all of my daughter's needs, and I worried so much. My husband, not so much. He's a bit more easygoing. And so we created that conflict. Immediately, the conflict of different parenting styles, it was already there because of our different backgrounds and whatnot. And then 2 years later, we had our second child, a boy. And with him, I learned to be less firm because our daughter had already broken the mold. I had already experienced what it was like to go through the baby phase, the infant phase, the toddler phase. I had been exposed to it. So by the time we had our second one, I knew what to expect and I was less firm. And then we had our third one again, 2 years after that. And it's funny, with our first child, we kept the camera. We have a photograph camera at the ready. Every time that she did something new, we clicked a picture because we had to memorize it. We had to just frame every minute, every moment that she did. By the time we had our third one, like, oh yeah, okay, good, no problem. We were less less I'm looking for the word, but less impressed, but less not less loving,
Excited.
but just and so now comes the time of discussing and having more discussions between my husband and I. And you're right about how the children should not be exposed to every facet of the marriage. And you're right, children are children. They are young, they're learning, they're watching, they're listening. And we have to value that. We have to honor that. So my husband and I were cautious to keep our conflicts in the bedroom with the door closed so that the children would not hear too much about it. And we picked the time of day when the children were at school so that we could have our more strenuous conversations. It didn't always work that way. Sometimes in the moment there was, an eruption, but we did our best. And I think that looking back, we learned a lot. If we could go back and turn back the clock, I would definitely do things differently. I just want to share my thoughts about my experience. And I wish that something like this had been available to me. I would have learned a lot more about how to handle conflicts and have firmer boundaries. So I thank you both, ladies. Thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you so much, Linda. Thank you for sharing your insights and your experience.
Thank you.
It's one of the things about parenting and about marriage really is that we don't get a manual, except, I consider the Bible a manual for marriage and family. But what I mean is, nobody tells you, okay, listen, when you have your first child and they do this and they do that, this is exactly how to handle it. There's no one size fits all manual that you can reference and say, okay, I read the book and now I've got this ready. That's not how it works. You learn on the job. You would make mistakes. Those mistakes are part of the experience. They're an important part of the experience for both you and the child or the children, the family. Everybody's growing through the process. And so it's not, I don't think that these rooms are so that we'll beat ourselves up and look back and say, oh, I wish I had, but okay, now I know this. Now I'll add it to the things I know, because you do know a lot that you've experienced through what you've gone through. And at the end of the day, I think God has a way of assigning the right children to the right parents. So you may not be the right parent for this other child, but you're the right parent for the children that you're assigned. I really do believe that. And yeah, so thank you for sharing. I don't know, any insights, any thoughts, IB?
Okay.
Annie's back.
Yes, I'm back here. Yes, like you said, yeah, like you said, it's not about us beating ourselves up. There's no perfection in this thing. There's no perfection. You're just learning to do right by each child. And because each child, I mean, they come with their different traits, different characteristics. You're only trying to instill the right values in each child. And because they're different, you may have to look at different approaches of getting to the same goal of them having those values. You will have to look at different approaches. We're learning. Every child has the right parent. Every parent has the right child. There's no mistake in that. You have the child that you need to raise, and each child has the parents required to raise them. If he brings you to it, he'll definitely take you through it. That's the way I see it. Annie's back in the studio.
Just before Annie comes in, right? The other thing I wanted to say is, so one of the things she mentioned that I thought was really important to look at is the fact that we have different parenting styles. And it's because we were raised in different homes. We have different ideas, different experiences. Husband, wife come with different ideas. One of the things that we have to learn to do is work together. Okay, when you find that one parent, for example, I was raised in rather strict conditions, and I figured that was how to raise kids, like put your foot down, insist on this, insist on that. But I noticed that that was not the kind of child my first child was at all. Like, she didn't need you to put your foot down. She just needed to understand.
Yeah.
So she asked questions a lot. And when you explained to her, once she got the concept, understood why, for her, it wasn't what to do, it was why to do it. And once she got why, she would do it. Once she got why, it was why, and I found there was no real need with her to be very tough and disciplinarian and authoritarian.
To be like a policewoman and be charging it all the time.
Like, why? You don't need to do that. I get you. Oh, this is why I need to do this. Fine. And so you find that there are many times when we're learning through the process, because my husband was more like the person that I eventually had to become, right? He was more eager to hear what you had to say and why. And I just felt, no, hey, I gave you this instruction, do it. But I quickly learned that, no, this is somebody that is ready to hear you out and understand. And there are other ways to relate. My second child was a different ballgame. Right from her first cry, I knew this was a different story, because that child that you say, don't do this to, and that's the thing she wants to do. Like, you shouldn't have said don't, because now I want to do it. that was her. So it was a whole different ballgame. But I quickly realized with that one that putting your foot down was not going to work either, because she was the person you would tell to go and sit in the naughty corner, and she would go there and hum to herself, like at age 2, in your face, I'm enjoying myself in the naughty corner. What you gonna do about it?
It's also a second child thing, yeah.
So I had to learn to, okay, this is not going to work. What's going to work? What's going to work? Negotiate. And I found that with her, negotiating worked every time. Find out what it is she wants. You're like, okay, if you do this and you do this, then you'll get that. Or If you don't do this and don't do that, then it means this is going to go. And that worked for that period until she was old enough to fully understand conversations and we could deal with that. So everybody has their own way that they come, and we have to now find a way to adapt. But always remember that you and your spouse are on the same page. You're on the same team. You have the same, hopefully you have the same goals. You want your children to
That's
succeed,
important.
you want them to have the best outcomes. So it's important that you find ways
Yeah.
to use your different strategies to achieve the same goal, and remember
Yeah.
that you're on the same. Okay. Oh, Udo
Yeah.
Onyagba, nice to see you.
Yeah.
Welcome.
There's many more we need to welcome to Lou. There's many
Right.
more we need to
Any
welcome
more,
from
right? Values,
from a
values,
long way up.
values. Your agreement of this with your spouse is fundamental to raising children. I can't highlight people's comments.
No,
I don't know.
no. But let's
That's
go through
your
the list.
superpower.
Let's get then I'll highlight the right ones as we go.
Okay.
Let's welcome Abiona. So Abby, welcome. Glad you're here.
Abiona.
Yeah.
Abiona.
Who's the other one?
Abiona.
Oluwa.
Oluwatobi.
Welcome.
Yeah. Second child phase.
Second phase. The story of my life. Okay.
I think that was an important point. I think that Linda
Yeah, those
made it.
second children always come with a different manual.
So close and better.
Is this your husband?
Who?
Yes, he is. Yes, that's my husband.
How do you
Welcome
back. So now that you have an empty nest, he wants to know how you're going to be coping. But I leave that between you two to sort out. we don't need to know, right? Yeah, I think you were talking about like caring, how the oldest child being caring for the younger one.
Right.
And Michelle says that's how oldest was for his brother. So
yeah.
What's she say? So
Yes.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
I don't know who LinkedIn user is. Please put your name. Could be Christiana, could be Luz, could be I don't know. I have no idea. I can't guess right now. Oh, it's Christiana. Okay, it's Christiana.
Oh, it's Christiana.
I'm glad you're here. Welcome, Nikki. Great to see you as always. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
We're like new friends. I'm scrolling down.
Michelle said something about how you have to involve your husband, otherwise you end up not having a husband, right? And a lot of couples, when the woman,
when the children come,
it's like the whole focus, everything is about the children, and you can make the man just feel left out. So that's another question, right? How do you, especially at that stage when the children are completely dependent on you, how do you involve your husband? Not even involve. How do you work together? And how willing? I would love some of the men to come up.
Make the children completely dependent on both of you. Make the children completely dependent on both of you. And respect each other's roles.
Right.
Respect each other's roles, but make them completely dependent on both of you.
Yeah,
The reason I think
not just on one person.
Could I interject?
Go for it, my friend. Go for it, Keith.
Oh, hi, yeah. I think when the child is born, yes, because the wife is breastfeeding, and most of the time the husband is going to work. So the wife mother takes most of the responsibilities. So in the night shift, she's changing nappies, breastfeeding, caring, while husband's getting a nap because he has to go to work.
Right.
But given time when husband gets home, surely we play a very important part in helping to raise a child. A matter of fact, sometimes we just hold the child while wife gets a nap because she was up most of the night. So in some case it's because the responsibilities and the commitments and the family and a whole, because sometimes there's other siblings that either needs to go to school or need some kind of care. So the husband can then step into that role and help mother with a newborn.
Beautiful.
Okay,
Beautiful.
thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Tolu. Thank you.
Kifa, but hold on, don't get away so fast. So that's ideal, right? And that's beautiful. That's how it should be. But many times, remember that in that situation, maybe the man is not getting some of the things he used to get, especially when the woman has just had a baby. It's one of the things that marriages, right? The woman is still trying to recuperate, adjust to this new person that has arrived. A lot is happening with her, and sometimes he can feel like his needs are not being met. Did you
Yes,
go through that phase, and how did
yes,
you handle it?
yeah. We have to be understanding that it takes time to recover from a pregnancy, and sometimes you have to just wait, wait till the time is right by doing other things. As long as you start to have children in your family, there's a lot to do in the home. There's a cooking, there's a cleaning, the bills have got to be paid. There's so much other things to get on with. But yes, it can be a sort of a timeout per se, not being able to cuddle and get the attention of your wife. Um, yes, it can be. But this is what family is all about.
Right.
It's a commitment, it's a sacrifice that we all pay a little. The wife have to carry the child 9 months, have the child, then take most of the load by breastfeeding, changing nappies, making buckles, etc., etc., crying all night, sleepless nights. So the most the men can do is hold on for a few weeks, a few months.
A few months. Okay. Okay. I hope some of the
Thank,
younger men. I wish.
Lifetime.
thank you,
Thank you so much,
thank you.
Kifa. That is
18
experience
years
talking. That is
at least.
years of experience talking. 18 years, Annie. Come on, Annie.
No,
Not
it's an interesting one because I think the relationship changes when the kids come.
right.
It does change drastically.
Mhm.
Again, I love Linda's point earlier, that you wait to have your serious conversations when the kids are at school, for example. And I do think that as each child comes, you mellow out a bit. I did anyway. I think you tend to go. No, I think the way she explained it, you have more experience, so you know not to panic about those situations that you think could go awry. I'd say I've got three kids, two in their 30s and one that's 15. Thank goodness it worked out like that, because the first two were hard work, but not because they were not because of them, just that we weren't very good parents. We were young parents, so there you go. But we learned. Now for this last one, he's got the life of Riley, literally, life of a king, the golden child we call him. And we can do that because there's only one, right? If there were two, there would be a problem. So the golden child is the golden child. It doesn't mean there's rules, but we are, as parents, we're much more experienced, we're much more confident in ourselves. So it's still a child of the house. Luckily, he's the one who goes sit on the notice steps by himself because he's done something wrong. We haven't even noticed he's done something wrong. We're like, what the hell? What are you doing there? Oh, you're gonna tell me off for that? I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. I can't be bothered, But if you feel guilty enough to sit there, you sit there. It's fine. Learn your lesson. And also the generations do matter, right? I mean, kids the kids we were. I'm sure we were nice kids, Tolu. I know we were nice kids. Our parents didn't think so, but I'm saying
We
kids
didn't have
today.
much of a choice.
You're right.
I can see, Eddie, I can see you smiling. You was naughty, Eddie. You're smiling, brother.
I didn't get
You are
caught.
smiling.
I didn't get caught. Because I'm lucky. I grew up
You
with my
didn't get
grandparents.
caught. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. What do you mean? That's how we all got here, to Luca. Let's admit it, right? Even as parents, we're lucky to be here by the grace of God, or by the grace of we didn't get caught too often. The problem is the kids who get caught for everything they do. Because then you have to react, you have to respond as a parent, right? If you don't get caught, then they will never know those parents are yours. Parents is easier when we don't know what you're up to.
Yeah.
You know,
Does
so
the
today,
15-year-old know this side of you?
it doesn't go out. So I'm, no, it's different kids, different generation of kids, right? Really, you know, different
Terrible.
generation of kids. So he doesn't get in trouble the way I know, you know, and it doesn't go out. So he has no interest in coming in late. He has no interest in doing things that will get him in trouble,
No, I
which
mean,
makes
does
my
he know
life.
this part of your own story? Any?
Oh.
Maybe not.
No.
You know,
We should find a way to get to him. We should tell him.
no, I won't. That's a boundary we're talking about, Tolu. I'll tell him something, not everything, right? You know, the ball's in my court, not in
Yes.
his. That's the thing. You know, as
And keep
parents, we have
some
to
things
choose.
away. Yes.
Obviously,
Yeah,
that's one of the boundaries any speaking.
Yeah. No, I think that deep down, there's still rules for the kids, and there's rules for us. But I think you don't need to when you've had more than one kid. I don't think you have to keep rereading and reciting the rule book. I think the kids will learn from their siblings. Ultimately, they will learn from seeing how the others are treated and how we respond to each child. You know, so the more experienced you are, the less you have to be that type of parent, that authoritarian parent. But I still see parents, Tolu, who they want to decide their kids' actions. You know, the kids 25. I'm like, what the hell are you playing at? That's what are you doing? The child must never move out. I'm like, no, 16, you're gone. Bye. Are you gone? Are you still here? Damn. You know, and so that's why I think it gets a bit extreme. Young kids, I don't think there's a rule book to I think you adapt to each kid. But as they get older, you must let go sometime. You must, otherwise you never get into an adult relationship with your children. I think you have to get into an adult relationship ultimately.
Right.
And I wish parents knew that's where the joy really is. That's a true joy of parenting, when your kids become adults and relate to you, and you have a relationship as adults. It's a great thing. Now, kids can be what they are as kids, but as adults,
It is. Yeah.
I'll let you speak. Please feel free.
This is why what Kifa was saying earlier, train up a child in the way they should go. It's so important, those early years. And many times, unfortunately, I think one of my worries is that many times a lot of parents are very busy because you're thinking of the bills, right? So you're thinking of making ends meet, you're thinking of the hustle. And sometimes the time with them should have to impart the values. Who was it? Okay, it was Udo that was highlighting values. We have to have the time in those earlier years to communicate and instill those values that we hold dear, that we think would be useful for them. So that at the end of the day, the expression of those values, how they apply them, is going to be up to them. We don't come at the stage where they're 25 and start telling them how to pick up their fork and knife and when to cross the road. At that stage, they're going to decide how to execute. But the principles, the guidelines, way to decide what is right has been taught them at an early age. It's very important to understand that. And unfortunately, more fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you see it, more of what we're teaching them is going to come out by what we're doing in front of them, more than what we're saying. They're going to see what we do and learn.
It's all in the modeling. It's a lot of modeling. Yes.
Absolutely. That's the scary part of parenting, because you can, if you're a certain way, and you think you can hide that part of who you are, put up a nice act for your children, you can do it for the rest of the world. But your children, your family, they will see right through you. They will see right through you. And it's who you really are that is going to count. So that's what I think is the most scary part of parenting, is the responsibility that it puts on you to actually be who you want your children to be. You can't just tell them to be it. You have to show it. Yeah.
But that covers everything, Tolu. That covers everything.
Right.
Yes.
And the most important part of that responsibility.
It's
I think it's in learning how to respond, not react. It really is in developing kindness, developing that sense of not being angry. Because the kids are not trying to annoy you necessarily. They're just doing what kids do, right? And I think if either parents reacts with anger, the kids will learn to react to anger as well. So I have this conversation often because I choose to get involved in parenting conversations where people would say, "Oh, but if I don't chastise the child, then they're not going to learn." It's not true. If your only solution, your only sense of control is chastising children physically or mentally, then all they're going to learn is how to also be bullies to their kids.
Absolutely.
I find it hard to see.
Exactly. And then we continue an unending cycle.
Yes. And I find it hard to see what would get me and my wife arguing and fighting with nothing. We've been together way too long for that to happen. I have no interest. We know each other so well. We don't need to have an argument about anything really. The kids don't need to see arguing parents. They don't need to see warring parents.
But it wasn't always like that, right?
For the first two, maybe not.
No,
but
maybe
those were early days. I said, no, this youngest, he's never seen it. He said, why have we seen us argue once? Because I was being threatened, and I thought, I'm gonna put my stake in the ground, and this is my rule. But that's one issue that I decided to have a conversation. And it was a conversation, wasn't it? It was just me saying, right, I'm gonna throw my toys out of the pram if I don't get my way, and you're not gonna get yours. I'm not gonna leave. If you want to know what it is, basically, she's going on holiday. And she's like, my sister-in-law is gonna come and look after you. I'm like, the hell no, no chance. I'm having no one in this house once you go. Once the doors are locked, I'm in charge. No one's coming in. Right. Oh no, come and look after the pets. I'm like, no, this will be fine. Right. So that's the one time when it was like, oh, they're shouting. I'm like, yeah, I just told you. and that was the end of what I just told you is that how the conversation went. It ended after that. No, there was no babysitter for any. So I said, other than that, there's no need to. I think that we can't be fighting in front of the kids. We can't be fighting about the kids and the rules. I think we must know, or we must be willing to accept each other's positions as parents, even if it's different. Yes, okay, I might have a different point of view, but I can see you clearly have yours, clearly. But let's agree one thing for the kids, and then let's discuss amongst ourselves later on where our differences lie, and then find a middle ground anyway. I think parents need to be willing to have conversations amongst themselves about what their rules are, what their red lines, so to speak. What is it and where is it that you will become agitated? And maybe why do you get agitated? So let's get to that, and let's make that our norm. Let's find a middle ground that's more palatable for everyone. All right, Ibironke, you are on stage, so feel free to add. Otherwise, we can do the comments. Our time is nearly up. Our time is nearly up.
Oh no! I was just agreeing with you. I was agreeing with you that the joy of parenting is actually when the children become adults and you can have a relationship with them. You don't want to have lived in a way that you can't have a relationship with your adult children. It's really, really nice. It's blissful having relationships with them. I was agreeing with that. And I think Mr. Showa Mimoto is here agreeing with you about that. Okay, so we'll go on. I'll wait for you to go on to the comments.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you. There are lots of comments as well. Sorry?
I'm not sure if Abiona is proposing to marry Michelle, but I think it says it's open and ready for an adaptive partner. I appreciate realism and honesty. We agree with you, my friend. We agree.
Okay. I think we have a proposal.
I didn't say that. I just said You know,
Okay.
it's, Michelle says exactly, listen to listen, not listen to answer. I agree. I agree. You know, and that's a comment about the child doesn't ask to be there. Stop treating them like a burden. You know, children are different. I think I'm not sure. And I wonder to what you and Madam Ibironke think. You know, personalities is what we struggle with. We all wish to have that kid that's lovely disposition, doesn't get too upset, doesn't it's not too objectionable. The nice kid, right? The lovely kid that loves mum and dad equally. That's not always what we get, right? Kids are humans. They have preferences, they have tastes, they have wishes, they have their own things that they want or don't want. You know, and that's when parents begin to see them as a third person, so to speak. You know, I'm probably going back to your question earlier, Tulu, about what do you do if you're in a small accommodation and you have kids? You know, in a normal world, the kid's just another great human in his space, right? You know, it's not like a housemate who is really a third leg. You know, will come as a package, so to speak. You know, whereas some kids can feel like they are separate human. You know, which is yeah, I agree. So I think it's a bit unfair, yeah, but that's just how some kids are. We don't blame ourselves as parents. You know, we respond to the kid we have. That's what I'm saying to you. You know, give me a nice kid, I'll respond nicely.
Exactly. We respond
to the burden. You know, I'll respond like, no, I don't know what I know. I'll do my best. That's all we can do, right? You know, so go on, Tolu. I saw you think.
Yes, that's all we can do.
Yeah, well, I was thinking back, right, to my experience, because like I think we had mentioned that earlier. Just the fact that children are different. So you have a first child, and this was my experience. You have a first child, and the child is, just very eager to please, really, just eager to do what's right, eager to understand what's going on. And once they do, they would just go with the flow. So I think, hey, this parenting thing is really cool. I can do this. This is totally cool. I've got this. I've got this. Then the second person comes. And it's a whole different package. A whole different
Chucky.
Story of my life, Tolu.
This is like, listen, what do you guys say we should do? I'm not doing it. Let me give you an example. Just for the fun of it, this is just typical routine conversation. Somebody tells you, you know what? No matter what anybody says in this house, I'm not going to school tomorrow. Like, what? Why won't you go to school tomorrow? Of course you should go to school. Schooling is very important to you. She lets you go on and on and on. And she says, well, there was an announcement tomorrow is teachers something day, so there's not going to be any school anyway. Why do you need to say it in that way? Why say it in a way that's going to cause trouble? Like, why don't you just say, there's no school tomorrow, I'm not going to school. No matter what anybody says, I'm not going to. Why? What is this?
I'm not going to school.
So, just differences. Children are so different.
I know that feeling, Tolu. They're like that.
But that's, you know what? That
is a second child thing. I call it the second child thing. Yeah.
Right. Because my first child, to be honest, I fell in love so much that I was afraid. I was afraid that what if I don't love the second child? Or what if the second is like a wannabe, trying hard to be like the first? What if it was a fear for me? So I was so grateful from her first cry when it was so different. Because I knew, okay, this is a whole different ballgame. We're going to start a new adventure. Okay, good. Why was I right? Different. So I think that it's beautiful to be able to embrace each child's uniqueness and work with them. It's just understand that you will go through the process.
Yes.
Yeah. Madam Ivy, please. Oh, Ivy.
That's the part of the that's a general response to us.
That's what I think. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't hear what Annie said.
As a part of the children's behavior is a response to us. I think Michelle
okay,
says,
I'm back now. I think I was lost for a moment. I'm back now.
Okay. You know, as
I'm
a
back
part of the
now.
children's
Yeah,
behavior
I-
is what we do as parents. You know, and I think Michelle's saying, enjoy your children and learn with them. I think
Mm.
that's important.
Yeah.
You know, we need to learn
You
together.
just go ahead and parent each child.
Mm, yeah, yeah, and enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know,
Enjoy it.
Michelle said it's an adventure. Enjoy the adventure. You know, it really is that. And there is no right or wrong. There's no right or wrong. You know, we're all trying our best. I think the important thing is to have the best
Mm.
intentions in mind.
Yes.
You know, and however we get there, however that comes
Mm.
out. You know, as long as you got the right intentions, then
Yeah.
as a parent, I think if we all look back, I think we'll say our parents could have done better, they could have done different, but we're here. You know, are you with me? You know, we're still here. We'll survive as adults. We'll survive into adulthood, and parenting is
Yeah.
one of those things. I think you can look back on everything and say, "Oh, I wish I'd no," but you did the best you could with what you knew, and I think everyone should embrace that because our kids are. That's what our
No, they
kids.
did the best they could with what they had. The same way we're
Yes.
supposed to do the best we can.
Yes, I think the same way. I think our kids understand it, and for most parents, this is probably a hidden secret. Most of our kids will come back one day and say, "Oh, I was a bit much. I could have been a better kid, but hell, what can I say?" you know, I mean, most older kids come and say that in the end. Maybe it's when they have their kids. They're like, "Mom, Dad, damn, some of the things I did were a bit
Mm-hmm.
odd." But I'm sure you understand. I certainly
Right.
understand. I can know that. I understand. As a parent, it's not easy. So don't beat yourself up too much about anything that as long as we kept our kids out of prison. I look at mine, a 15-year-old. I said to him, "You're not abused by anyone. Stop moaning." And I mean that. Stop complaining. As long as you got a life, you got a roof over your head, you got a good life, live it. That's the best I can do for you right now, right? Deborah, I think I miss you. No, Tamilade, I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much. Then again, Michelle says, Swiss Family Robinson, just go inside to sleep. Wouldn't say like the house is a hotel. Yeah, but that's kids today, right? That's kids today. That's kids today. Kids today. Yeah, maybe a topic to talk about Tolu.
Yeah.
Chores Tolu. I think doing the chores. I think that's where conversation to be had because that's where parents really
Mm.
meet the best of time.
Okay. Okay. That's
Especially,
probably more. Isn't that more of the parenting lounge? That's probably a parenting lounge conversation because that's where you talk of age appropriate
but, no,
and
but it can get parents.
Yes, that's what we'll be doing at the parenting lounge.
right.
Yes,
But I do think that
That's what we'll be
it
doing
may be
there.
relevant for marriages, right? Because you find that for a lot of people deal with stereotypes where you feel like when it comes to cooking, when it comes to cleaning, that's a woman's job. When it comes to
yeah,
yard work, that's a man's job. If the bulb
that's
is burnt, that's a
Mm.
man's job. If the and it doesn't we can do I feel like it doesn't have to be like that. Like if the spirit of your marriage is we're a team and we're here to support one another, then we'll be working with our strength zone. And sometimes the strengths that you're looking for are not necessarily in the person you thought they would be in. You know, a man could be the better cook.
Mm.
A woman could be the better bulb changer, facility manager, maintenance person. Yeah, so it doesn't follow that. So maybe in that sense, yeah, maybe. Well, but I think we've already said what more would we talk about in terms of chores? Yeah, do what you
there's a lot of things to talk about. Like,
Yeah, I'm just
Deborah
kidding. Yeah,
says, parents grow and change, and everything changes. It does. It really does, right?
it
I
does.
think
It
time
does.
is our best friend as parents. Like Tolu, the chores thing for me, it's probably the most. It's the only thing I stand and fight my kids for because I don't want them thinking their mother is a slave of the house.
Oh, definitely.
So yes, I will cook because I like I like my
Mm.
food. But the mother will. So our wife will cook as well, and If you don't wash your own plate, I'm gonna be at war with you because the slave's not coming tonight. So go and wash your plate. You know, you got to clean your room, like clean your face because I'm not. The servant's not coming, so get used to it, right? You know, so it is a case of protecting my wife's energy more than anything else. No, but deep down, I don't like mess in the kitchen. I just don't like mess.
Right.
If you tidy your room, that's your problem. But the kitchen is everyone's room. You know, and if everyone comes in and treats it like it's a public kitchen, and no one washes up, there'll be chaos, right? And all that happens, you get more and more mess, and I can't live with that. I've not always been like that. Don't get me wrong, but I like this sink empty. I really do. And I can imagine my wife's eyes when she comes in the morning and looks and thinks, "Wow, this place is clean," as opposed to this place is a mess, and I got to put do an hour of cleaning before I can get moving. That's just not on. You know, that's just me. That's Annie's funny rules.
Yeah.
Who's
True.
upskilling with money? Is that Dr. Vivian? So that's Dr. Vivian.
Yeah,
You know, YouTube look. Okay, I see the picture. I don't know.
nice.
I'm glad you're here. Doctor, if you're on my channel,
that's
Dr. Vivian, do the right thing. Like, comment, subscribe, please. I like you being there. You know, it's a good thing. Right. I'm trying to get some comments. The children need to stay children. They don't need adult burdens. Ooh. I suppose my question for you too.
Yes, they don't.
The question for you, Tolu and Ibironke. Do you talk money, family finance in front of the children? I'll leave that with you for a second.
So good question. So this is another boundary question. And maybe I should hear her take first. But I think that it depends, right? Age appropriate exposure is important. If you're struggling or if you're figuring things out, it's good for them to know. And especially in hindsight. Especially in hindsight, when you've gotten through it, you now want to teach them, this is what we went through and this is how we got through it. Because they would need that lesson down the line. It's good for them to know that, look, it's not all hunky-dory and life is sweet. Because what happens sometimes when we overprotect our children is that we don't build resilience into their psyche. We don't make them realize that, look, tough times can come. That mom and dad went through this tough time, but they got through it. If all they have is, everything was blissful, everything was sweet, then down the line, they now face challenges. It's like, oh gosh, something bad is happening to me. Life is not going the way it's supposed to go. I can't deal with this, because they don't even have any paradigm that prepares them for that. So I think that it's important that we share some of these things with them in a way that lets them feel empowered to deal with those things. What did you do to get past it? How did you struggle? How did you face it? How did you work through that situation? And how did you not fall apart? You know, and that helps them, I think. But I don't know, what's your take, Ivy?
Yeah, that's I agree with you, Tolu. I tell my children that I've opened and closed more businesses than I have children. So that speaks to me telling you that I've had the ups and I've had the downs. And I'm still standing strong. So what we're teaching our children, when we use age appropriate, when we give them age appropriate information about the finances in the home, is that we're telling them that not if you rise, if you have this challenge. Otherwise, we're simply telling them, once there is any challenge, throw up your hands in despair and give up. But that's not the goal here. So when you use age appropriate means to let children understand, yes, so we will have conversations around finances in the home when they're of that age. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your husband says that you were born with parenting skills, because of the way that you went into mommy mode, and how you used to I love when the husband turns up. Or a wife.
Oh, he did ask me then. He asked me then that, am I sure I'm telling him everything about me? That had I been a parent somewhere before marrying him, that you sure you're telling me everything?
Oh, I like that. I like that. No, I think it takes us to those points though. I think it's it's agreeing the parameters beforehand, isn't it? Really, it's agreeing the parameters that you're going to work with parents, or at least not bad mouthing each other.
Right.
It's very easy to say, we haven't got money because of that parent. It's not me. I think we need to, make sure we don't. We're singing from the same rule book as you said earlier. IB, I think that's an important one, right? I think we need to, not throw the other one under the bus.
Right. Very important. Very important to present the same team.
Yes.
To show up as
Sorry,
team,
I'm
parent,
laughing.
parent team
Very
has spoken.
important, yes.
Your mister is determined to speak.
Can you come up stage? We would love to meet him. This empty nest. Oh my goodness. This is a honeymoon. I can tell.
For second marriage, right?
Oh my goodness.
Let's renew our vows, I think he's saying, to enjoy our emptiness that we now have. Otherwise,
Mr. Aki, please come on stage. Let's just do a renewal of vows here. Right now, we're ready. We're ready.
Linda says it should be a partnership. I agree. Kiefer, if you want to add, please feel free. Feel free. So we'll happily take some of your thoughts.
Oh yeah, it's very, very, very interesting in conversation going on. You just bring me back in the days. Yes, as you was talking about. Yes, things like finances is very important to discuss with the children because they waste food, they leave the lights on, they leave the TV on, they leave the water running. You got to explain to them what it takes. It takes money to pay for all the utilities. Don't waste. So it's important. And sometimes they want the best toy in the toy shop. They want a bicycle. They want a designer coat. You have to say, look, food come first. Or we're going to put petrol in the car. Keep the roof over their head. So you have to explain to them in a nice way because sometimes children, all they see is a rejection of not getting what they want. But yes, I've done that with my children. A matter of fact, I've got a great relationship with all my children. And most of the things I tell them, I don't wait for them to find out because I feel it's easier on me that 20 years time to find out that, dad did that and dad did that, oh gosh, how come he didn't say anything to us? But, within reason, I tell them most things to keep them. Our parents now and grandparents, we've come of age now and we're hearing things about them that would have liked to known 30, 40 years ago, We're surprised when we hear them. So it's good to keep your children, especially if you have a good relationship with them, keep them informed. The family stays safe and more happier that way. Yes, and thank you, Annie. Thank you, Tulu. Thank you, Abby. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Do connect. So I think it's an important point, Kiefer, for sure. So the relationship with adults is a great thing. Let's welcome Ife. Ife, welcome. Glad you're here. Thanks. So Luz is here as well. Have I missed anyone out? I don't think so. Right. What's this one? So my first felt like I feel I like bubble wrapped. By my third, she runs barefoot outside. I think we all get that, right?
Oh,
we learn to relax. Still.
Right. Paulette is here on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Dr. Costa. Okay. Did you acknowledge them?
No, not yet.
Okay.
So Olushola's comment. I liked what Toulouse said about parents being affected by how we're raised. It's true. I was raised with lots of love and affection, though we were disciplined, but we knew why why you had to be disciplined. Their methods definitely shape the kind of parenting skills that their children are applied. Yeah, that win. I agree. I think that's one of the things that we need to bear in mind. That what we do will affect how our kids parents as well. Like I said earlier, I don't want to raise kids who are bullies by beating them constantly, showing that only by getting angry do I get what I want from them.
Yeah.
You need to raise them in different ways so they understand communication, relationship with their children is where it's really at, and relationship between the parents. It is the parents on the same team as you two have said so many times. We have to be on the same side, and that takes communication to get to where we are. Shall I say is that's life, and also what we used to in our environment. Have I missed anything out? A few more comments.
One more angle I'd like to throw in, right, is the matter of faith. Now, if you're people of faith, it's also important to let your children understand how faith plays out. It's one thing to be people who go to the church or to the mosque or to wherever it is that you go. It's another thing to show them how it plays out in real life. Like when you're in distress, how do you communicate with God? How do you, in fact, there are times when you involve your children, look, as a family, this is what we're asking God to do for us. So that when it happens, they understand, they have reference, they have something to refer to in their lives, that the time when we went through this and we prayed together as a family, and this is how we got through it. They understand what it means to be part of a team that is looking to God and looking out of beyond ourselves, beyond what we can do. There's someone we can reach out to, and we can also build our lives on this and see how this works out. It's an important part of our experience also as family.
Yeah. It gives them a good anchor.
Yeah.
It gives them a good anchor. There's something for them to anchor their values on. Yes.
Absolutely. Okay, so thank you so much. I dropped my YouTube link on StreamYard as well as on LinkedIn. Please, I think everybody on stage, if you can drop yours, if you have a YouTube link or maybe your LinkedIn, you want people to follow you, please just follow everybody that's on stage. Follow Ibironke, and of course, follow everybody, as many people as you can in the comments, because that's part of what we do. We want to try and encourage everybody to grow as we come together as a community. Really, really appreciate your presence, your comments. Michelle Bordenhorn, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but Michelle is fantastic. You keep the communication going in the comment section. You're amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you, Joe. I don't know what happened with Joe. She was going to comment. She was on stage and then she wasn't. And I don't think she got to share. But thank you so much for coming up on stage. I don't know if she's still here. Thank you, Kifa. Thank you, everybody. Yay, Kifa, I see you. Peace. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Annie has disappeared again from the stage, but please go ahead and follow him as well. And I think that I can safely say that we're done for today. What's happening with the Parents Lounge? You want to give us any last words from the Parents Lounge?
Thank you. Oh,
as you're saying,
thank you, Tolu. Thank you about that. The Parents Lounge. Okay, yeah, the Parents Lounge is a supportive community. Okay, do I have the floor?
You do?
Yes.
Do I have the mic?
Yes, you do. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. The Parents Lounge is a community that helps parents learn intentional parenting instead of reactive parenting. Reactive parenting brings chaos into parenting. We want to be intentional. We want to be mindful. And once a month, we'll have a virtual coffee chat hangout where we'll have some experts on different topics where we'll address one parenting challenge each month. And then we get tips on activities to do, exercises with our different ages. We have the opportunity of learning from parents across different generations, just putting the joy into the journey of parents. We don't want to be lax, but at the same time, we don't want to lose sight of the fact that this should be a pleasurable journey for everyone who
Awesome.
who's involved.
Awesome.
So
awesome.
that's what the Parents Lounge is about. If you go to my YouTube LinkedIn page, you'll find literature comment. We're having fun there and learning. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you
Look,
so much. Thank you. Kifa, you want to tell us what you do? You haven't really told us what you do.
you haven't really told us what you do either.
Um,
Okay.
as I'm a minister, so I have the privilege to preach and to teach. I love life skills, and that's my passion to especially educate the younger generation of how to manage life. You know, I have got a lot of life skills and still learning as I go along. So I try to instill some values that will come in handy to the generations coming: work life, finance, relationship, anything I've actually done for myself. I encourage young people to stand strong in the society that we're in today. Yeah. Okay.
Awesome.
It's been a great event, Tulu and guests. Thanks for having me. And
Thank you.
IB was talking about the Parents Lounge. That sounds interesting. Will that be a LinkedIn event? Will that be a LinkedIn event? I'd love to be a part of that, IB. Yeah. Okay. Thank
So
you, and
connect
have a good evening.
Okay, the events will be done. Okay, the monthly events will be done on Zoom. The monthly events will be done on Zoom, and it's always on the last Saturday of the month. It will be done on Zoom.
But I'm sure she
Yeah.
will she will
If
advertise
you
it
can
on your
send me a link, or yeah, send a link or advertise so I can see. I'd love
Okay.
to see what it's about.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Once I advertise, I'll definitely send you the link, Skifa.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Thank
Okay.
you. Have a good
Thank
evening,
you.
everyone.
Thanks, Kifa. You're a star, my friend.
Thank you.
All right. And
Sorry. And this lovely
any
comments.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
my
So
son's
thank
oh, that's
you.
Thank you so much. All right, so I'm Tolu Ekwe, and I'm delighted to also let you know that I have been running cohort 1 of the Confident Speaker Bootcamp, which is a public speaking forum, okay, for anyone who's interested in improving their public speaking skills. You can reach out to me also, because cohort 2 would be starting in the first week of April. Also, if you're interested in any conversation around marriage, you want to work on your marriage, you want to ask questions, you want us to talk, please go ahead and send me a DM. I'll send you Calendly, and you can schedule an appointment to just get a feel of what you're going through or what you'd like us to talk about, and then we can see what we can work on. But I'm really interested in helping other people to improve their marriages, because I know that you can get to a place called forward, better. Okay. All right. What are you up to these days? How do you want us to connect?
Oh, me? Well, I'm forever publishing books. I'm doing more books. I need more books to publish. I need more books to launch, Tulu. Yeah, you know that already. But you know that already.
Yes.
I
Yes.
want to.
Don't worry. I'm getting something ready.
Yes.
For you.
Bring them, my friends. I'm doing a health anthology, a health group book. So that's my next passion. But I'm rapidly writing 4 books as we speak. So if
Health
you
anthology. Tell us more about that.
right. So now I think a lot of people survive life-threatening illnesses, cancer, diabetes, whatever. Yeah. So things that that do others in, many survive. I want to know how they survived. In case I come a cropper and become ill one day, I want to know what to do. So most people's solutions come down to medication. It could be a lifestyle change. It could be turning to spirituality. It could be eating the right things. I'm saying, what is it for people? Now, what was it for you? Yeah, and
Right.
it hasn't got to be you that suffers the illness. Maybe it's someone you cared for. But, if you have any insights into how people survive, how someone survived, a life-threatening illness, then please bring them forward. I'd love to put them in a book. I want to learn from them, whilst also giving them a chance to build that legacy. Let's say, book thing is it's a lifetime's achievement, really. And when people get ill, we tend to either downplay the illness or ignore the illness completely. You know, whereas I think we need to elevate those people because I want to give them a voice and I give them a chance to really have this to be an author. Maybe they never thought of that was part of their remit. That was part of the possibilities. So I do want to sort of give them that chance. Thank you for letting me mention what I'm doing. You know, if you want to get involved, let me know. DM me.
Okay, awesome. So thank you so much, everybody.
Oh, hold on. We can't ignore the "well done, darling" that your husband says. You know.
Yes. So okay, you guys get a room ready. Get a room. We're done here. We're done here. You guys go get it.
Look, I'll leave you with this one. I think I like Aramide's comment. Children are quite intuitive and they pick up on what's going on, what's being said. So it's better to talk to them about issues. I like that. I like that. That's a good point to leave our conversation, I think.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for coming, and see you again, hopefully in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Because we're still on boundaries.
And thank you for having me, Tolu and Eni. Thank you.
You're welcome. It was a joy.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everyone.
I'm sure we'll join your events as well. So
yes. My
friends, enjoy. Tolu, thank you for another great
Good
event.
Night. Good night, everyone. Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, my friend. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye, everyone.
Every step forward is a new beat to your drama. She's success with global.media.com and celebrate it with or without champagne or rum. She's success with global.media.